Welcome back to the Mustang Blueprint. I'm Alex.
And I'm Riley, and we're here with the Mainstay owner, Gina Meulebrock. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being on our show. So how did you become the owner of the Mainstay Cafe?
That's a great question. In 2018, my husband and I were presented an opportunity to purchase some buildings, some real estate downtown Marshall, and the building that Mainstay is in was one of them. And with that also came the opportunity to buy the coffee shop, which was previously called the Daily Grind. So my husband came home one day and said, "Hey, do you want to own a coffee shop?" And I was like, sure. And so that's how the story began. Very unique situation. So, yeah.
So prior to this, you had no experience of running a business.
That is absolutely correct.
No idea of running a business. So
Yes.
if it wasn't for this business, what would you have done instead?
Oh, we didn't go over this question. Let's see. Well, at the time I was a stay-at-home mom. So that's always been my dream since I was little. I just wanted to be a mom with my kids at home. So at the time, my youngest, I think, was 3. And then I have 5 kids total. So they're all at home still. And so I was, this opportunity came and I was kind of caught off guard. So I was like, okay.
So you are from around the Marshall area. Did you live here your whole life, or have you
Yes.
just moved here when you were older?
Yep. I grew up in Marshall. I was born and raised in Marshall. My parents were SMSU alumni. They met at SMSU. They got married and they stayed in Marshall. Then they had me and I stayed in Marshall. And then I met my husband in high school. We were high school sweethearts and we got married right after high school. And then I went to beauty school in St. Cloud for just a year and got my license to do hair. And my husband went to electrical school, and he's a licensed electrician. Then I came back to Marshall. And so I guess I did own my own business as a hairstylist for 5 years. So I guess I did have a little experience, but that was a whole different realm.
So if I'm not mistaken, the meaning of mainstay is a very important part of something or someone that provides support and makes it possible for something to exist or succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking of that, what is your mainstay for taking care of the business as well as managing 5 boys?
I've always known I wanted to be a mom, so I love serving my kids. I love serving my family. I love my community. So I the opportunity to be a part of downtown Marshall and just be a part of that, it was definitely in my wheelhouse.
So you'd say that you love to serve other people and kind of be in the hospitality realm, where you started as a hairstylist and now you own a cafe where you get to interact with people all day and serve them now food, and food brings people together, which is one of the best things. So why do you want to stay in the hospitality? What was your calling to work with people and build those connections?
I am a total extrovert. So I gain so much energy to be around people. So to force me to be at home with no one, I'll go crazy. So I think that I love being at the coffee shop because it's bustling. There's people coming and going. It's kind of like the hub of downtown. And there's, it's just a lot of, in being from the area, I've lived here my whole entire life. So I know a lot of people in the community. So it's just like a time to visit and socialize for me when I'm at the coffee shop. So I kind of come alive when I'm there.
Throughout your business journey, you said you've never done a business, never had any idea, but still you did it. So during this entrepreneurial journey, what are your biggest challenges you faced so far?
When we first purchased the business in 2018 and we knew that we wanted to rebrand it, there was so much more that had to go into it than I knew before that, as far as even changing our sign out front. We had to go to City Hall and get approved. We had to have a certain number of inches of a sign, and it had to be hung so many feet from the window, all the regulations and stuff. That was really challenging, because I thought, we're just gonna slap a new sign on the wall and call it a new name. That's awesome. But it was not that easy. And I'm just not I'm not a techie person. So like anything that comes with having to fill out anything on a computer, forms, all that, I was like, that was a huge challenge for me. So just to get approved from the city for all this stuff, that was probably the biggest challenge.
So after the rebranding, what kind of role did you take on? Like, how was the company before, and what did you turn it into now?
It's actually very similar. Before we owned it, there was actually 2 gals that still work there and run it today. So that was kind of like the deciding factor when my husband was like, hey, do you want to own a coffee shop? And I kind of had been watching the girls, and they like just seemed to be really like good at what they did. They were very loyal. They'd been there for a long time, faithful to the job. Everybody knew them. They knew all the people. It was kind of like, okay, so if we do take this investment, I feel like I could probably do this, because I'd be more or less their cheerleader to kind of just encourage them and maybe make a few changes and tweaks, but essentially just kind of like give them the reins and make it better than what it was.
So like you said, you purchased this company back in 2018, and still these 2 people are assisting you
Yeah.
to make sure the company is successful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're playing a huge role, motivating them, making sure they are on top of things and get things done perfect. So how do you like motivate the team, and at the same time, how do you make sure the team, I'm sure you recruit other people as well. So how do you make sure they're all on the same page and they all kind of vibe together?
That's a good question. I don't know how we've made it work. It's just been so awesome. Like organically just works. Like it's worked. Everybody that we've had on staff we all work well together. And I feel like if someone comes on and they don't jive with everybody, they usually kind of just leave on their own, like organically. So yeah, we're just like a well-oiled machine, because the people that we have there now, we have like only 8 employees, I think, total. And they're all just great. We all get along. We're like family. It's awesome.
Do you feel like there are sort of some similarities when you're managing the home as well as the business? Do you feel like you can apply the same skills
At home?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, point out the positive reinforcement. Try not to be so negative. I mean, that usually motivates people, is to point out the good and not the bad, because I like to be told positive. That usually kind of puts a little skip in your step, versus pointing out your flaws. That usually kind of dampers. So
following up with how do you have energy? Do you take what energy you do have left and give that to like the managers, or do they bring the energy that they give to the other workers? And then, like you said, it's like a family. So do they just feed off each other?
Yeah, kind of. I think definitely if the mood is low, everybody's low. So it's like, it's important to come to work, and because it spills off to customers too. So I feel like my customers can feel if it's kind of everybody's down. So I just encourage everybody to kind of try to keep their emotions at home, maybe, or their drama at home, and because customers can definitely feel the mood when they come in the door, and I don't want it to be like that.
So I know there are some students out there, like you mentioned, 0 business experience, but especially they might have like a small interest in starting a business and all that stuff. So how do you, how would you give them advice to grab opportunities? Like you said, your husband just gave you an opportunity, just came out and you just said yes, even though you said 0 experience, none of that.
Yeah.
So how would you tell college students to go grab that experience and those opportunities regardless of not knowing anything? How would you get about that?
I think try not to think about like what could happen and how you could fail, and just be like, it could be really good. So just try to like not think of what could happen, be like, think of the positive and then just roll with it, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, that's good. So now transitioning more into since the holiday season is coming up, we are curious how the business flows during the holiday season. Is it a lot busier? Are there more customers? Like, what does it look like? Is it
Yeah, I'd say for sure. I think it gets busier, especially from after Thanksgiving to Christmas. It seems like there's people, obviously, everyone's trying to think of gift ideas, coming in, buying gift cards. We'll see people that we don't normally see on a daily basis come buy gift cards for teachers and, coaches and all that kind of stuff. And then a lot of times we'll get a lot of kids home like on college break, people that have parents in Marshall that they'll come home, and there's always a lot of that kind of stuff during the holidays. It's like people having coffee dates with their high school, old high school friends or whatever, little clusters of people. Closer to the holidays, like the day before is always really busy with people coming in for coffee beans, for their Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas breakfast. Or people we get a lot of custom orders like muffins or scones for Christmas morning or stuff like that. So we'll do a lot of extra baking during the holidays for sure. The oven does not stop running.
So since we're in the holiday spirit, I know we should be more positive. So on that note, What are the positive things you never expected about starting this business and managing it now?
I think I never realized how connected I would get with the community, just because I'm really essentially there once a week. I work 1 day a week. I'm on the clock, actually there. Otherwise, I'm always bopping in here and there. But I've gotten to just know all our regular customers, and you get to know them. You get to know their kids and their lives and what they're going through. And I guess I never really thought about that aspect. I thought I was just going to be serving them food and drink, but it's more than that, because you really get to connect with the community, and just to see people come together under our roof is really special.
So since you guys are more of a cafe style rather than just a coffee shop, do you think that serving food provides a better way for people to build connections and spend the time actually at the cafe and enjoy conversations with people rather than grabbing a coffee and going?
Yeah, totally. I think we probably are our busiest, or our most customers are our breakfast and lunch, people coming and they stay longer and they're connecting. We're way more than just a grab a coffee and go kind of place.
So one thing I would like to ask you is, since you mentioned you started off in 2018, we all know the infamous pandemic. How did you pivot? How did you grasp that different challenge, and how did you move along with it? Because I think that's a defining factor in any business, how they manage challenges. So how did you work during that time?
Yeah, that was a wild time in every business, but ours especially, with the food, all the regulations and stuff we had to overcome. And we stayed open the whole time. We couldn't do table service, but we had to-go orders. I could go on and on of all the crazy stuff we did. We tried in order to, because I was really adamant, I didn't want to have to lay off my employees, they needed paychecks and everything. So we got really creative, and that holiday season over COVID, we made all these things where people could come in, and we almost made this whole little bake shop, and we did these things called cookie decorating kits. So we literally cut out Christmas cookies and packaged sprinkles in these little baggies and frosting in these little tubs. It was just we were just Santa's workshop for the whole month of December that 2020. We did to-go egg bakes and to-go huge buckets of soup. I mean, we were working our tails off in order to make money. And we made money, but we worked really hard. And then we actually kind of pivoted during that time. We had always kind of in the back of our heads wanted to open a little drive-through cart. And I don't know if you guys remember it, but that was during that time, that's what inspired us to open it. So we were kind of like, how long